Just get paid. I want to play. The vibes is right. I wanna hug up tight. No time to waste. I wanna work my ways. So come on, babes. Give me a taste. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Well, you know, I'm feeling.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Killian Mall, 162 Lamaha Street, in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins Firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins Firm.
That little ditty we used to torment our teachers with when we were kids goes something like this. Onward, upward, Mary had a go. Day by day she tied it to a rope. till at length they got past the rope and Miss Mary had to run behind it. We had a lot of fun with that, but do you actually know how beautiful these words are? Here's the Song of Guyana's Children by W. Hawley Bryant. Born in the land of the mighty Roraima, land of great rivers and far-stretching sea, so like the mountains, the sea, and the river, great, wide, and deep in our lives would we be. Onward, upward, may we ever go, day by day in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana sons and daughters can be. In the land of Kaijur, shining splendor, land of the palm tree, the croton and fern, we would possess all the virtues and graces, we all the glory of goodness would learn. Onward, upward, may we ever go, day by day in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana sons and daughters can be. Born in the land where men sought El Dorado, land of the diamond and bright shining gold, we would build up by our faith, love, and labor God's golden city, which never grows old. Onward, upward, may we ever go, day by day in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana sons and daughters can be.
This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got them lang lang loji, now you got them bongolo. Long time got them lang lang loji, now you got them bongolo. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this.
One of the things that I like about that song is just the way the lady says, this time a long time, this time a long time, no time yet a long. Many of you from the quarantine, or even if you're not from the quarantine, you should be familiar with these sort of songs, right? And so that is why we want to remind these people that this time a long time. But here's what I want to say to you. We shouldn't just be reminding them through songs or through shows or whatever. I hope that those who are, and I oftentimes say this, it's not just about the talks and the talks and the talks, and you click your camera on and you just talk on social media or whatever. The PPP regime is on the ropes right now. Don't be fooled. They are on the ropes right now. And here's why they're on the ropes. They know they're on the ropes. And the only thing that is protecting these guys right now in Guyana is the fact that they believe that some 120 something, 23 or 24 countries supported them and all these sort of things. Don't be fooled by that at all. Don't be fooled. You know, there's oil wealth, and people are really after the billions of dollars that they can extract out of Guyana. And don't think for a moment they're concerned about you folks at Cromarty Village, or you folks somewhere at Little India in Skeldon, I know some of you don't know that there's a place in Skeldon that is called Little India. And next to Little India, there is Little Africa. And in Little India, they have a lot of African people living in Little India. And in Little Africa, they have a lot of Indian people living in Little Africa. Whenever you guys visit the quarantine, drive and go up to Corriverton, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Little India and Little Africa. The people are living happily together. And so, hey, I heard that the coalition had a plan. They had a plan. But this regime doesn't have a plan. But look, I want to talk some things this evening. I usually talk things, yes. But tonight I want to talk some things. Before I get into that, though, let me say to you that I have on this evening the Honorable Mayor of Georgetown, His Worship Pandit Ubraj Narain. He's being targeted by these folks in the PPP regime who do not believe in democracy. But this mayor is not an easy walkover. If you punch him, it appears that he's going to find a way to get back at you. I'm not saying that he's physical. I'm not saying that he's going to punch you back, but he's going to find a way, and rightfully so, to get back at you. This regime, this installed regime, have been after the mayor for obvious reasons. Some of those reasons is the fact that, hey, he's of East Indian descent, and they don't like that he is a member of the PNC, and that he is standing up for his party, that he is standing up for his supporters. And not only that, he is standing up for the people of Georgetown, and by extension, the people of Guyana. With me, like I've said, is His Worship, the mayor of Georgetown. He just got back from New York City, or New York. I'm not sure if I'm going to detect an American accent as yet. Good evening, how are you?
Hi, Mark. Good evening to you and the viewers. I'm okay, trying here. Bit tired.
Yeah, I was just trying to see whether I'm going to detect any sort of an American accent from you. Nothing as yet, but how are you?
Not at all, man. I like my Creolese. I love my Guyanese language. I love to speak to the grassroots people.
We got you. Thank you so much. Look, I know this is an important night for you, Mr. Mayor, because it's your daughter's birth anniversary, and you took time out to be here with us. Thank you so much, and give her our regards. Happy birthday to your beautiful little daughter.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Look, the people are targeting you. Central government, controlled by the PPP, they're targeting you. They don't want you to get the job done. They're stymieing the process. They're doing every single thing to make you look bad. But little do they know that they are hurting the people of Georgetown. They're hurting the people of Guyana with their vindictiveness. Let us hear from you first to begin with. Have they reinstated your stipend?
No, not at all.
How long now since they have stopped paying you or stopped giving you that stipend? How long now?
Since October 2020.
Wow. And what is the local government commission doing about that, sir?
Nothing. Nothing at all. The local government commission has the authority over staffing, to deal with staffing. That the stipend for mayor, deputy mayor, and town clerk are to come from the Ministry of Local Government.
Okay, it comes directly from the Ministry of Local
That's
Government.
right, directly from the Ministry of Local Government.
Yeah, and we know that it is operated by two suspects, and I say suspects because they're not concerned about developments in the country. They are not concerned about the people. Dharam Lal and another one, Anand Prasad. But we're not going to get into those two suspects, at least not tonight. At least not from me. But let us hear from you, Mr. Mayor. There was this rumor that while you were away, they took away your security from your family, your young family. You have a little baby boy, you have your daughter and your wife. They took away your security. Explain what's the situation now, sir.
Thanks, Mark. I saw the town clerk, interim town clerk, the imposed town clerk issue a statement, which I find very strange after I did my press conference in New York when I heard from a reliable source on my security and bodyguards and so on was withdrawn from me by the imposed town clerk. Um, I issue a statement because I do have a young family and I'm not afraid to make mention of this. My official residence, it is in Lamaha Street, and most of the time my family just be on the East Coast because I do have a home also in the East Coast where I have my two little ones that needed help. I need the help of my in-laws and so on, and that's why we tends to be here most of the time. But I do my official residence is in Georgetown on Lamaha Street. I went there this evening, ensure everything is okay. And we spend weekends and sometimes we spend days there. Only when I under pressure and I need help with certain things, I just come up here. And I believe I have that entitlement as mayor that if I go anywhere, my family goes anywhere to visit anyone, I have that entitlement to have my security or bodyguard or driver with me because I am an elected official, and it seemed that they had wanted to withdraw those things because I spoke out at a rally in Brooklyn about the PP vindictive uh, uh, within the city of Georgetown. However, when I issued that statement, the security was restored to the residents and everything was okay again. But the thing is, it that bothers me, the imposed on Clark knows my security details, and that's what actually bothered me. You know everything about the mayor, where it's about, and that shouldn't be. And I had wanted to know who communicated this to her. So it is not a healthy something. It's breach of security, and it's something that must be looked at because the chief constable acting should know that as well, Mr. Gafoor. So it is something that I'm worried about. My security details are to be with me and my bodyguard and security, head of my security. So it is something that worry me. And then recently when I leave to um, for New York, my entire itinerary and everything was leaked to the media. All those things are breach of security. And no other than the Tom Clark Secretariat had leaked these things because it was told to me from reliable source from the Tom Clark Secretariat who had done this illegal act. And the Tom Clark Secretariats ought to be confidential. I never spend the city money to go on any activities. 600 US dollars can't buy a plane ticket. So all of these things are to frame me, to set me up. But Mark and the viewers out there, I'm strong. I'm stronger than that, and I am wiser than that. I will never use the taxpayer money to go on a political activity. That would be disrespectful to the the taxpayers. I will rather use my own money, or the organization ought to sponsor me. So I want to make that very clearly. The mayor of Georgetown, and I want the government or the ministry to do an audit. I never use taxpayer money to go to a hotel on any official visit for the city council. The more the city council pay, uh, is the ticket and accommodation and everything have been taken care of by the organization. I lobby the organization to take care of those things. So I'm not like those ministers who receive huge sum of money, which the Guyanese people don't know about, pay huge amount of money to hotels and traveling allowance and all these things uh, for their political visit and party visit, and it don't come to light. I believe that stain or that blame that if people want to cast me in. I believe in a God and I believe to serve the people well. And I would not allow that to happen.
You know, Mr. Mayor, well said. The people of Georgetown deserve better. The people of Georgetown should get better. And we should remind the folks that quite a lot of those folks who call themselves fighters of democracy, who are part of the private sector commission, they just don't pay their fair share of taxes. They still owe the city hundreds of millions of dollars. And when they don't pay up their taxes, guess what? The people of Georgetown are shortchanged because of those wicked and vindictive and those greedy businessmen who are part of the private sector commission. You have mentioned, Mr. Mayor, and I don't think, and this is with all due respect, people know you, they've been watching you, they understand how you've been running that city, albeit the spite that you're getting from the central government headed by the PPP right now, the installed regime. But like I have said, the people of Georgetown deserve better. What you are doing is basically fighting for betterment for all of the people. You're not attempting to enrich yourself. We're not seeing that. We are not seeing any evidence of that. Unlike those people, when they're in office, they oftentimes misuse millions upon millions of dollars for their personal whatever it is that they have to do. Some did, I believe one did her teeth for about $3 million. Another one went out and was looking for fertility drugs and all these things at taxpayers' money expense, millions of dollars. So I say this to say that these folks in the PPP who are attacking you, they have no, and I repeat, absolutely no moral authority to attack you on any issue. Having said that now, you're back in the country. What is the case with your security? One. And the other thing, you said, who exactly is this person that is pomposetting, so to speak, herself as the town clerk? Who really is she?
Well, the security matter have been resolved since I issued that statement, and I was contacted, and everything was resolved. I happy that happened. Now the town clerk position, Mark. In 2020, we had an interview done by the council and the local government commission, both together. The council voted to fulfill those positions. However, the commission voted against. But when we receive a copy of the minutes state that the commissioners voted in favor, while the secretariat of the commission, headed by this guy Nikolai Price, who I believe is a very um, he has no kind of authority of doing certain things at the commission, and he tends to do things illegally, and the that matter is in the court. That case will be the same thing. Now, Miss Sherry Jerrick, who acted as town clerk for the past 2 years, she's been there doing a quite and very well job too. But you're demoting this young lady to a substantive position to put a training officer who only with the council about 4 years. 4 years this person being employed at the level of council. And because this person is a political activist, maybe with the PPP, you're trying to impose, installed town clerk on the city so that you can get your own way to do your corruption, your fraud, and taxes that they want to write off for their people and prime lands that you want to give to yourself as ministers of government. That same local government ministry has individual ministers wanted prime property within the city. I said to them I would not indulge myself in those kind of corrupt decision making. I'm not those kind of person. There's a process, there's a policy, and you have to be guided by that policy. You have to be guided about the process which you have to follow. Same thing on taxes. If you want to write off taxes or you want a waiver, you have to write a letter. There's a policy guide committee to function in that manner. And bear in mind, Mark, all these things this council put in place, these things was never there before. We have policy to guide these things. So no one can come and write off taxes. But the town clerk, now the imposed, installed town clerk, will do these things without the knowing of the full council, because as mayor, I can't know what's happening every day at the town clerk secretariat. The council would know, and the town clerk will do certain act which the town clerk is currently doing. You know, she forged a stamp, new town clerk stamp, which was never approved by the council. The imposed town clerk signing off documents which council did not pass or approve, especially courts documents, and also she have been requesting that her um, cronies or colleague that supported her at the level of council to go on different scales of salary, which they're not qualified to or to be on. She are now requesting the city treasurer acting. So look, place these people them on these scales, that she has the authority to place them on these scales. I want to remind the town clerk work for the council section schedule 6 stated every duty of the town clerk. The clerk is the um, chief administrator officer, and he or she works for the council, not he or she self or any other entity. So the clerk works for the council. So these things are happening currently. We have a um, corruption and fraud that is happening at the level of the city council at this point of time, with the present town clerk, imposed town clerk, installed town clerk, that the council do not recognize and we do not respect that imposed town clerk. And we'll continue to have these viewers. You know why? Because the PPP want to control the city of Georgetown. The PPP want to know how we getting money to pay our workers, pay our union dues. I have a struggle, yes, with garbage, but we are still trying to keep the city clean. We're still trying to service the sluices and the pumps. We're still trying to clean the drains. Only recently we bought an excavator worth of $14 million. We're about to buy a bucket to clean the edge, the parapets, and so on. All of those things are on hold because of the action of the local government commission and the government, the PVP government. Um, so all of these things on hold, Mark, because of the mass corruption that is happening at the level of the city hall by this government, the imposed town clerk, the installed town clerk. And today, in fact, the deputy mayor brought to my attention, because I only came in yesterday, that the agenda of the council circulated today, and the, the imposed town clerk or the town clerk secretary did not consult with the deputy mayor about the agenda. The agenda is the council agenda, not the town clerk agenda. So these things um, started already to happen at the level of the city, because the people want to know how we are managing the council. They want to know, because we put system in place, Mark. This council here put a lot of system in place. Now no one can sign checks like that. You have to get vouchers to signatory, which is councillors from the finance committee, to approve that voucher. Then the check will prepare. Then the check will come back, and all these things. So there's a process and procedure at the level of city council right now. Not that mass corruption that is happening in the ministries. They want to impose those things on city council and cast the blame on this council. I want to say, Mark, I will continue to stand. I will continue to represent the people of Georgetown. I don't know one thing. I'm worried. I'm sitting here. I'm worried about my staff not being paid. I don't know how they will get paid their salary this month, because you know what the town clerk did? Write the bank an illegal letter for change his signature at the bank account. The interim town clerk. That is how desperate the PVP is. She wrote a letter, an illegal letter that never approved by council, and the bank rejected her. So that is a mass corruption we are facing at the level of city council, because of the PVP administration through the local government commission. impose and install a town clerk on us. But the matter is before the court.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised because, as you said, the laws that govern the city actually says it is quite clear that the town clerk is the chief administrator, but
Yes,
whoever sits in that office have to be guided by the council.
that's
So
right.
whatever is to happen, she or he or whomever has to take it to the council. The council, consisting of all the councillors, including the mayor and the deputy mayor, will have to put that on the agenda and discuss it, and the majority would rule on it. But she's not
That's right.
operating right. She's not doing that.
No, she operating independently, like she has this power. She is the council and she is the town clerk. That is not how the city council runs. You have to be guided by the council, be guided by the majority votes. And if she continue like this, there will be corruption and fraud within the city council. It started to happen already, Mark, and that is worrisome for me as mayor, because as mayor, I need to know what is happening in the administration as well of the city. You know, you have the engineer department. Look at the engineer department as well. I've been speaking on the engineer department from since I took office. I wrote the local government, this same local government commission, Mr. Faber, a letter copied about 30 something letter I wrote the engineer on matters. To date, Mr. Faber, who claimed that he has morality and integrity, did not address those issues, but find the time to place and install an imposed town clerk on us, which he do not have the authority to do. The commissioner, comprised of 8 commissioners, those people has to deliberate and debate on those issues. And they cannot do it alone. It has to come from the council first. We have to vote for it first, and then we'll forward it to the local government commission for their ratification and their deliberation. So what the PVP is doing is try to control the city council first. They want to control the works. They want to control the staff. And you know what bothered me? The local government commission summons the chief constable acting and the deputy town clerk acting to a meeting with this young lady, the imposed town clerk, and instructed them that they must work with this young lady. And if they don't work, they will be fired. So you can imagine you're being threatened by the PVP government. And yet, Mark, sorry to say this, I'm not a racist. I love my Guyanese brothers and sisters, but this is the way the PVP run this country, in a race way, race scared. And then the president got the audacity to say that those things that we spoke in New York, in Brooklyn at the rally, it is untruth. The president seemed not to know what is racism. He don't know the meaning of racism and what they're doing to the Guyanese, Afro-Guyanese in this country, Mark. And I'm an Indian, and I'm speaking out against the racism. I'm speaking out about the victimization of the PVP, and that is the reason why, as an Indian, I am being targeted. My family have been targeted. My co-workers have been targeted. Mark, I will stand strong to represent the people of Georgia. I will not give up. I will continue to do so.
You know, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much. And what you are saying tonight in terms of standing in solidarity with your African Guyanese brothers and sisters is something that you have been saying all along. It didn't take for you to hop on a plane and head to New York in Brooklyn to stand on a stage to say that, because the very things that you said on the stage, you have said before in terms of standing up and fighting and speaking out against injustices. You know what I want to say to you, Mr. Mayor? Thank you so much for your bravery. Now, when folks do these sort of things to confront a dictatorship, oftentimes the threats are there. We are hearing about some threats. We heard about the removal of, well, they have denied it, the illegal town clerk has denied it, that they have pulled your security. We know that they are capable of doing that. We know that they are vindictive. But as you sit here tonight on this show, Mr. Mayor, I want you to say to all of the people who are watching, are you afraid that the PPP would want to do something to harm you and your family physically?
I'm not afraid. I'm a fearless person, and I will work for my Guyanese brothers and sisters. I will continue to speak out, and I will continue to advocate for the right things in the city and my country at large. What the PP government is doing, Mark and viewers, it is totally wrong. It is totally disrespectful to the Guyanese people. There's only look. Let me tell you this tonight, Mark. You know what hurt me a lot in the city? The city comprised of the office of the president, state house, all the ministries, all the agency, and look at the city condition. There is no subvention that the government is giving us to do a massive cleanup in that city, which is required by laws. Act, the Fiscal and Transfer Act 7304, Section 7. The City Council ought to receive 700 to 800 million Guyana dollars a year, according to the calculation of that act. We received only 30 million Guyana dollars this year. Last year, we received zero. How can the city sustain and survive? You have New York City there, and I spoke to the congressman, I spoke to senators, I spoke to the mayor, the borough president of the New in Queens, and all these people make mention that the federal government give the city huge subvention so that they can able to execute the work. But in Guyana here, the PPP government do not give us any subvention to do our work in the city. How can we function? You want me to
They
take
don't
the
want to
money out
do.
of the pocket?
Mr. Mayor, they don't want to do that because they don't care. They want to punish the people of Georgetown. But as you have said, look at what is in Georgetown. Parliament building is Georgetown. They even have their Freedom House is in Georgetown. All of the embassies are in Georgetown. How then do they want to be so vindictive and spiteful against the people of Georgetown, or even spiteful against you, Mr. Mayor, because they don't like you? Obviously, they don't like you. They feel that you should not be sitting there as mayor representing the People's National Congress. And so they're going to spite you. They don't care that they're spiting all the people of Georgetown, and they're making the city look as filthy as it's looking right now. And I say kudos to you and your staff. You have said that you're bothered, you're concerned that your staff members may not be paid this month. Again, another form of victimization against your staff members. How possible that they are going to be paid though?
Well, I am trying my very best, Mark, to see how I can able to get this done. Because if wasn't for the impost on Clark, my staff will be paid. The money is there to pay them. And all the benefits to the union and everything. The money is there to pay them. But because of this installed on Clark, we cannot move forward with the business as usual in the city. And you know what bothered me too, Mark? The city council majority of its workers is Afro-Guyanese. And this is telling me, and I will be very frank, this is telling me that where black people, Afro-Guyanese are working, that is where the PP government is seen to target it. You know, where the Afro-Guyanese, and I want to use this, the Black Guyanese brothers and sisters work, that is the entity they seem to target. And I have a problem with that because I know there's 6 races in this country, but as a spiritual person, I know there's one race and it's the human race. And those people got families, they got children who they have to look after, they got bills to pay, they got so many things, rent to pay, so many things to do, and you impose and install it on Clark, on the city council. So all of this here is stalled. What a shame of the PUP government. What a discrimination of the PUP government. What a race charge of the PUP government. It is sudden to say my staff, the city council staff, would be paid. Who will be blamed? Do you want to blame the mayor? No, I will blame the PUP government, because if they didn't impose a town clerk on us at the level of city council, it shouldn't cause us to have a court battle. It shouldn't have cause us to have not been paid our staff for this month. I extend an invitation to the local government chair and all the commissioners for us. Let us have a meeting and come to a consensus. Mr. Faber, respond to me. This is not the point, or this is not the moment for such a meeting. Consensus. Let us come to some kind of consensus so that we can come to a decision of this issue. But they seem to target the Black Guyanese people, Afro Guyanese people. And today I receive a letter as well from the local government, a copy of the letter. My chief constable, Peter Livingstone, who is acting, the council made a decision. Look, we short a staff for the city constabulary. We did promote about 16 individuals in February month. February this year, 2021. Send it to the local government commission. The local government commission did not attend to that promotion list on to date. My constabulary is low of rank. Mr. Livingstone, the council said, well, you have to go on your leave. We will pay you for half of the leave and we'll send you in half so you can return and bring order and we'll have enough rank. Today I receive a letter from the local government commission without any explanation, without any reason, stating that Mr. Peter Livingstone should take his entire leave. The local government commission don't pay these people. We as an elected body has to find ways and means to bring in revenue to the council to pay our workers. So, and you know what the local government did? Let this man take all his leave. Because of what? Because he's a Black Guyanese, he's an Afro Guyanese. You're targeting him now? That is the road we're heading down at the level of the city council. I don't want those things to happen. At every letter that's signed by the Secretariat and Julius Favor, we have to challenge in court. Why we have to go to court when we can reach together and come to consensus and bring the matter to end? Hear from both sides and let us agree on something. You spend taxpayer money to go to court, right? Which in that taxpayer money we can do something in the city. But we have to fight for our rights through the court. And I trust that the court system will judge these matters in a fairly and transparent way, Mark. The city council will be targeted. And you know, Mark, I plan to write next week. I already am setting out my schedule. I plan to write to the international community. I met a lot of people there in New York, senators, congressmen and women, city council members, boroughs, presidents, and other organizations, NGOs. I plan to write and copy them these letters. And what I will do also, send the act and the laws that what the PUP is bridging and what they're doing wrong in our country. Because I cannot believe that His Excellency, the President, came out and said, what we spoke in New York is untruth. Definitely, the President needs to know the definition of racism. And I believe that he don't know what is the definition of racism.
Probably doesn't know the definition of a lot of things. He probably doesn't know the definition of fraud. He probably doesn't know the definition of revocation, because to this day, he is still to say to the people why the Canadians have revoked his visa. Why did the Canadians revoke his visa? Mr. Irfan Ali has not come out to explain why. Some of us may know why, but maybe he should explain why. I know on your first trip to New York, you met with a lot of elected officials. And I say this because you met with Senator Chuck Schumer. You met with some other powerful people. And I must say to the folks who organized that for you, um, James Richmond and others, I know James is watching. Good evening to you, Mr. Richmond. But when you met with these officials, Senator Chuck Schumer, the Mayor de Blasio of New York, and others, and you tell them how vindictive the PPPC is toward you and the people of Georgetown, what were their reactions about all of this that's happening, sir?
Their response to me or reaction is that they said to me, look, we heard many things, but we don't know what to believe. And we are happy that we are hearing it from your mouth now as the mayor, right? And they said they read a lot of things as well on the media, and they're following Guyana very closely. They're looking on the government, how the government are treating the opposition, treating its people, treating certain areas in Guyana differently from other areas. These were the words from those elected officials, and I was shocked to know that these elected officials is paying attention what is happening back home here.
Yeah,
And I, I believe that they are looking on the government as well, uh, very clear to see on the action about how they do it, treating with agency. Example, for example, the city council and other areas of the country. So I believe the United States of America, is looking very closely what is happening uh, in our country here.
and you are correct about that, and that is why the main opposition, they have to stand up, they have to be doing more, man. You shouldn't have to be there as a mayor representing the PNC or the coalition, and the leadership of the coalition is silent on all of these matters. We shouldn't have to, because over in the US, a lot of people are writing to their congressman. They're writing to Senator Chuck Schumer, who is a friend of all Guyanese. They're writing to Congresswoman Yvette Clarke. They're writing to other Congress officials, including Hakeem Jeffries and all. So these people know what is happening in Guyana. And thankfully, we're talking about a technologically advanced era, that they're reading also what is happening. So kudos to all of the people who continue, whether they're in the diaspora or wherever they are in Guyana, to stand up for true democracy. Also, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Why do you suppose that the PPP regime, they're so hurt about the fact that the truth was told by Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, about racial discrimination and other forms of discrimination in Guyana? You, as an Indian Guyanese, you are admitting that yes, African Guyanese brothers and sisters are being discriminated by the PPP regime. Why do you suppose Irfan Ali and all those guys were so upset about the truth?
Because I believe that they knew they didn't knew that what we're really about to do in New York, but that rally actually had uh, thousands of people there, and we tell the people them the truth, and that is exactly what is happening. Only recently, Mark, you saw on the minister's Facebook a young lady who was protesting, and a few days she received a land. That is her entitlement, Mark. That did not stop her to protest for her children and grandchildren. She has a right, and if the ministers can go that low, that tells you something wrong with the PVP-led government, wrong with the leader, something wrong with the president,
You know,
because
some. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
because you stoop so low to say this woman receive a land. The land, she's a Guyanese, and that is her entitlement. You give her the land free. She has to pay $100,000 for that land. Where is she getting the money? The president getting a fat salary, the vice president and all the ministers get over $1 million a month. I don't know if the Guyanese people know these things, right? The minister will pay for her land. She has to go find means and ways to pay for her lunch. She didn't receive it free. So that is her entitlement if she wants to protest. So the truth will continue to spread. We'll spread the truth and nothing but the truth. And the people will always want to defend and says it is false and untruth. I saw the Prime Minister respond to Akim Jeffrey statement. The Prime Minister should be ashamed of himself. You know why I said that? Mr. Prime Minister, when we had a huge flooding in Georgetown, I wrote him a letter stating, look, these are the areas need help. I don't want the hampers. I don't need it. I don't need to distribute it, but I have to make representation as mayor for my people in the city of Georgetown. The Prime Minister responded to me and said, Mr. Mayor, in a letter, the correspondence, and I will send it to you, Mark, tomorrow. I will send that letter to you. That letter still is on my desk. The Prime Minister said, Mr. Mayor, hampers will deliver to you very shortly. To date, months past, not one had been delivered to my office, nor the constituencies, Mark. Not one. The Prime Minister of this country want to say that we spoke on truth. There's a letter to prove these things, and I will send it to you tomorrow, Mark. And then he respond to Akim Jeffrey. I will copy that letter. And my letter I wrote to the Prime Minister. And that is discrimination. That is racism. So the president and the prime minister don't know the definition of racism. That is a part of racism, right? Months after, not one hamper delivered to those individuals in the
Wow.
constituency.
Shame on you, Mark Phillips. And these are the people who jump up and they love to say that they believe in democracy and unity and a one Guyana. The evidence is clear. I don't know if the others who have propped them up and forced them and installed them into office can't see the evidence, or they're so blinded by the goddamn amount of evidence around the place every single day: racial discrimination, political victimization, persecution, and all these things happening in Guyana. All of us who are speaking, all of the people, especially those who are in Guyana on the ground, can be wrong. Pandit Ubraj Narain, his worship, the mayor of Georgetown, cannot be wrong. G.H.K. Lau cannot be wrong. Thousands of other people cannot be wrong. And I'm glad that you've mentioned, Mr. Mayor. There's a woman who went and she applied for a house lot, rightfully so. She got a little piece of house lot, and because she was protesting for something else, they plastered her photograph all over social media. Priya Manikchan did that. Some other minister of housing did that. Charles Ramson did that. God in heaven knows who else did that. It is a shame and a disgrace what this regime is doing. I don't know, Mr. Mayor, I know I've had you on for a while. I must
This
congratulate
one more
you.
thing I like to say before you
Sure.
leave.
Go right ahead. Go ahead.
Discrimination as well, Mark. I wrote the ministers several letters. The president, I wrote, he never responded to me. That is discrimination as well, right? That is discrimination as well. They never respond to a letter on concern of the citizens of Georgetown. And I have the proof. The next thing I want to say to you, I wrote the junior minister of Central Housing and Plan Authority, where my staff, the staff of the mayor's complex, applied since couple 12 years ago for house lot, wrote a letter, attached those response that they received from housing back those years. I sent it, not one response, not one call to those staff and people, because they're black people, they're Afro-Guyanese. That is discrimination, Mark. That is discrimination, viewers. So what the president is saying and the prime minister is saying is a bunch of crap. I want to tell them that that is discrimination. They should be into they should be into a university, or where somebody tell them the definition of discrimination.
Somebody should tell them that they know exactly what they're doing. Don't be fooled, Mr. Mayor. They know what they're doing. They might be dummies, but they're not dummies 24/7 a day. I've heard something before we go. I know it's your daughter's birth night. I
That's
don't want to
okay.
take
I
up.
can speak.
Oh, you can. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have heard that Robeson Ben, who sits there as the Minister of Home Affairs, has instructed your city council to have ethnic balance in the city constabulary. I don't know whether you've heard that, sir, but go ahead.
I did not um, hear any such things, but Minister Robinson has no authority to instruct the city constabulary. And I want to say this much to him that at this current time, there is an Indian person, an East Indian individual who is acting the chief constable. And we did not recruit people for a very long time, Mark, because of the same local government commission story keep going on and off. Can't even promote the 16 officers that we recommend to get promotion, so that we can have the outposts can able to proper govern and so on. So all of this is a part and parcel of victimization and racism of the government. Why you don't want to approve those uh, promotion? Because they're Afro-Guyanese as well. There are a few others raised in that promotion. I can't see why you don't want to promote those officers. And then you want to blame the mayor city council. Oh, we got garbage here. We're not doing the police work good. This place don't have a proper supervisor for the outpost. You need to give the promotion so that we can able to place these officers to the respective outposts so that they can able to take control of the markets and other areas, so that they can able to know what is happening. But if
Wicked.
you tend to hold back all of this, you're crippling us. You're crippling us every god day in the city, and you want to blame the mayor and city council. No
Oh,
shame of the PDP government. They actually take a black bag and put it over their face.
they should take more than just a black bag and put it over their face. Let me bring on, since you're going to be on with us for a few more minutes, let me bring on J.R. Crawford. Mr. Crawford, you have been hearing all of the crap that is going on in the city and all these things, the discrimination and what they attempted to do with the mayor and his family, with his security. Thank God he's gotten it back. The fact that they haven't given the mayor his stipend since October last year. I don't know what's happening. Let us get your quick take on all that is happening. Mr. Mayor, J.R. Crawford, you guys.
From listening to what is going on there, you could see clearly that the current administration does not want to show respect for some of the Guyanese, mainly the coalition supporters. And what they're doing to the mayor is undoubtedly a total disrespect and disregard for law. And with what is going on, I hope that the current leader of the opposition, not the parliamentary leader, but David Granger himself, he needs to be a lot more vocal until either he remains the leader or there's a new leader. And what is going on with the city, and the mayor is complaining about the condition of the city. It's back to prior to 2015, and it's ridiculous to see how dirty the city is. And, you know, to see where it was a couple of years ago. And when you look at and you listen to all these atrocities that's been going on, you wanted to know the American ambassador, who seems to be omnipresent in so much of our local happenings, if she's not aware of the dirtiness of the environment, or if that's something that is a norm for her. We want to have international investors. How can someone or a company come to invest in a dirty city? Crime is on the rise. You're victimizing the mayor. He cannot do his work. So what are you telling the international community? That if somebody is not aligned with us, they're not going to be helped. So if you're a victimization group, why would we think that there are going to be people who wants to invest in this country? So eventually we are shortchanging the citizens of this country for employment or a better standard of living. Now, the opposition top tiers, they need to be much more vocal and assist the mayor. You can't have the mayor, he's been crying out for help for ever so long, yet we are not seeing the big guns who wants to hold on to position not coming out and supporting the mayor. Imagine the mayor has to go all the way to New York to seek help. What we can do right here. There are ways and means to get it done. But we are not seeing, people are taking the high road and, every now and then they'll jump out at a post and, put up some foolish remark. If you want to be holding key positions, you must be out there fighting. And when you're a developing nation, you can't have a holiday. And I'm not saying that Mr. Granger didn't do good, but you know what? He is still the leader of the opposition. He needs to get out there, unless there are other medical issues which we may not know of. But if that's the case, instruct the other top tier players to come out. Meet with the international.
Let's get back to the mayor. Good points. David Arthur Granger is the leader of the PNCR. Joseph Harmon is the leader of the opposition. But I do agree with you that the leadership of the coalition, the leadership of the PNC, whether it's David Granger, whether it's the general secretary, whether it's the chairman, everyone should be holding hands on this particular issue as well as other issues. But let's get back to the mayor, Mr. Crawford. Let's get back to the mayor. Mr. Mayor, unless you have something to say what Mr. Crawford just said, I want to ask you about the millions of dollars members of the private sector commission owe to the city. What's happening with those money?
Well, Mark, so when I took office in 2019, I wanted to work with the private sector commission. I did sign an MOU in 2019, and 2020 we renewed that MOU. However, for 2021, I met with them and I have had discussion with them. That MOU, I said I'm going to renew it again. However, I copied the letter on the tongue crack matters and so on. I spoke to a few members of the private sector on the matter, and they say they will issue a statement. Nothing like that never took place or happened from the private sector. So, my knowledge, or in my view, the private sector is no longer independent. It's the arm of the PPP government, and I have no apology to make, whether to the president of the GCCI or the chair of the private sector. I see very clearly that they are an arm of the PPP, and they will continue to work in a form of corruption with the PPP government to gain benefits for themselves. Because when you look at this oil and gas sector, there's only a clique of individual high-end clique, high-end businesses align themselves with the PPP government to gain maybe contracts, lands, etc. from the government. So I have no regards anymore for the private sector or the TCCI. They're shameful, they're disgraceful, they don't speak. Look, I saw in the news, Timothy Tucker came out, GCOM need to do everything transparency, need to take place there to hire a new CEO. Why not do it for the city too? They show you biasness, they have self-interest, they have personal gain, personal interest in what they wanted, but they don't want to work for the benefit for the poor Guyanese people, for the Guyanese people that sell it on the road to get a daily bread and butter for their children, to pay their bills. These things bother me, and I will continue to represent the citizens of Georgetown, the vendors, the bus drivers, the taxi drivers. I will continue to do. I have no due respect, no regards to the private sector. I have tried with Mr. Jerry Govaya, which I find Mr. Jerry Govaya promised so many things to be done, but I believe he promised himself a seat or advisor to the president, so he never fulfilled those things for the ordinary Guyanese people. While they are knocking glass and having big meals, and huge meals and fancy meals, the poorer class of people, the vendors, and the workers of the city council has to do the dirty works out there, and the vendors have to suffer and try to get bread and butter for their kids. That is how I see it, Mark and viewers. The rich get richer while the poor continue to suffer.
You know,
Under
you
the
said you said
PPP, let's make it very clear, under the PPP government.
you're correct. The Private Sector Commission is basically an arm of the PPP regime. But before we get back to Mr. Crawford, approximately how much millions of dollars together they collectively they owe the private sector, they owe the city.
Let me explain this to you very clearly. When I met this last time with the GCCI, I spoke about the tax thing. Now the GCCI said to me, look, we only concerned about one property the member have. So if you are a member, Mark, of the GCCI and you have 10 properties, but you declare only one, they only concern on that one. They do not business about the 9 others. So I said, that is weird. The deputy mayor jumped in and said, that shouldn't be. If you're a member of GCCI, you should declare all your properties, all your taxes, and everything must be up to date if you're a member. They say they will look into those things later on. And that is where the corruption comes in. That is where the fraud comes in. Because you have about 3-4 properties operating as commercial, but you're still paying residential taxes. We can't know that if you don't go to the government valuation office and get a new valuation and comes in. So that is how the fraud and corruption happen in this country. It's a sad situation. It's a sick situation that we have to face as Guyanese in this country.
Sad
So they
and
owe
sick
millions of
indeed.
dollars. Yeah, millions of dollars. Today I receive a client's letters from Timothy Jonas Association on a plan for Giffland Mall. That plan that they need approval for. The matter is in the court. Let the court, I won the matter. I appeal to get the interest from Giffland. And you want to approve plan? Pay your damn taxes to the city council. Let come and pay the taxes so the people can benefit from those taxpayers' money. You can't owe the city council and you want to operate in the city. That is nonsense for me. Come on. Be a businessman. Be a bold man. Be a business person that can able to uphold the laws of this country, to uphold rules and regulation of this country, and pay your taxes to the city. And you have government ministers and government officials who back these people. What a shame. What a disgrace of our country.
Mr. Mayor is on fire tonight. Really, really good. JR is smiling, but I promise you guys, I'm not going to go longer this evening at all. Mr. Crawford should have joined us by sometime around 9:30, but I couldn't stop the mayor. The mayor's on fire. I kind of like this. Let's get back to Mr. Crawford. You heard what he said about the private sector. They are not paying their fair share of taxes. They're bullying City Hall, and these are a lot of them pretend as though they believe in transparency. We saw when those 3 persons at GCOM, Roxanne Myers, Keith Lowenfield, and Mr. Mingo were fired. The private sector commission came out and they said, kudos, good. The Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry came out and said, kudos. They love it. People are being persecuted and they love it. But most of those vagabonds are not paying their taxes, their fair share of taxes. Yet they have the audacity to talk about transparency and democracy and fairness. Give me a goddamn break. I reiterate what the mayor says. Pay your goddamn taxes. Mr. Crawford, over to you, sir.
Mark, when you see these entities are issuing such statements, and you know they are reckless, one has to wonder how much backdoor dealings are being done. And, you know, it's a sad thing when they don't want to pay the taxes. How is the city going to maintain its image, much less improve its standards? And these people don't, I don't know if they don't want it or they don't care. If the city improves, their business will grow. But for some strange reason, everybody believes that, you know what, we're going to do this backdoor deal. We have assurances from the administration not to pay anything. So in essence, they're doing a blood-sucking theory where they will suck the juice out of the city and leave it like a shanty town. Because most of these people have this mindset that, you know, when Guyana collapses, they're going to move abroad and they're going to be wealthy off. So they don't have to worry. Hence the reason why there's so much corruption. Because when these guys go to the United States and Canada with these ill-gotten gains, they live the high life. And no one is sending out these information towards the international bodies that these folks, you know, these monies must be checked how they're gotten. The last administration had the opportunity to clear much of that up. Some people may say it's only the 5 years, but all they had to do was put an oversight body in place for certain issues. And the various ministers or ministries should have been able to pinpoint all these things and have these things reported. Unfortunately, some of us got in there and we got too, while there are a few ministers who worked really, really hard to get, you know, the country transformed from where it was to where it was going. Now, Georgetown is unique for a simple reason. It's a hustle. And once you're in that clique, you're going to be protected. Now, the mayor is not part of that clique. The mayor chooses to be honest and forthright. So he's going to be bombarded from every single angle. So now we need the coalition leaders to come to the aid of the mayor and his staff. But we are not seeing a constant support from these leaders. So the mayor is fighting the installed government. The coalition is taking a break. They're not getting the international bodies involved. And once the administration that's in there now is seeing that they don't have a forceful opposition, they're going to run amok. And everyone knows when the coalition was in there, Jack Deal did everything possible to make sure they didn't get anywhere going. Why don't we return the favor now? But, you know, when you speak, some of them get annoyed. And, you know, they have this foolish behavior. Who are you to tell them what to do? You are there for the people. If you can't represent the people's interests in the highest esteem, you are to step out from there. But they walk around with a chip on the shoulder. And it's meantime, the country is going backwards. People, the 10%, like I've always been saying for the last 2 years, the 10% is getting rich, while the 90% of the country is suffering. And if you look at the Afghanistan situation, and you start to wonder how many EHM are there in this country. Now, the EHM are economic hitmen. If the Afghanistans for 20 years lend their support and didn't get anything, and many of them are left to face the heat by themselves, what do you think is going to happen to our country, the way we're going? We need, especially England, if they can't come to the front burner and stop this nonsense now, there won't be nothing left for this country. And eventually, this behavior is going to lead to a lot of violence. And again, I'm saying it, like I said on Tuesday night, innocent people are going to get hurt.
And let's hope it doesn't get to that point, but I get your point. We are seeing what's happening. We are seeing what's happening in Afghanistan. A totally different story, but I understand exactly where you're coming from.
Let's intervene.
Yeah.
And that is not where it's going to happen. We have to start our own here. We can't depend on Americans because America, at the end of the day, will look out for its own interests, not ours. So we need to band together here. The mayor is
good point, Mr. Crawford. But we are indeed looking at the time. Good points you've made. Mr. Mayor, you've heard all of the points. It's 13 minutes after 10, but we really have to go. I've noticed some people are saying that you came back from New York and you're all fired up. I wonder if these people have never listened to you, Mr. Mayor. You have always been fired up. What you have said tonight is nothing new.
Exactly.
Your closing remarks, sir.
Mark, I just want to say I wouldn't blame. This is my personal view.
Sure.
I wouldn't blame the U.S. or the United States of America and all these things. You know who I blame? I blame my Guyanese brothers and sisters here. We have to stand up. It's people's power. Let us organize mass protests in the city and throughout this country. We must dictate and demand what we want as a people. We elected them there, whether elect or install, whatever you want to call them. We, the people, has the power. We have the power, can demand certain things. We spoke about this, Ambassador. There's action you can take for deal with these matters. But are we ready to take this action? Are we ready to take the streets? Are we ready to sacrifice some of our time for others? We are politicians. We have to guard the interests of the people and not our pockets. And that is my problem as a young man, as a young politician. I will be 30 this year. And I entered politics in 2010, 11. I born in it. I know of it. And I wanted to see my Guyanese brothers and sisters receive what belongs to them, rightfully belongs to them. And that is not happening. Only friends and cronies and families of this government receiving those kind of perks. And that is my issue. Comes out and say 25,000 one-off cash grant. 25,000 can mind me for a week. $25,000 can run an entire house and pay me bills. What is $25,000? And the Guyanese people fall for this nonsense. That is my issue. If you're telling me you're giving me $1 million for a month, I will say something, I will do something. Tell me about a long-term benefit. Don't tell me about damn $25,000. I don't need it. I'd rather eat salt and rice. Tell me about the long-term benefit, how I can able to take this money and elevate myself, elevate my children, so I can able to capitalize or multiply from that 25 or this 100,000. And you have these economists telling you $25,000 one half cash grant, and only certain people receive it and certain people don't receive it. Mark, those things just get to me. And you, as a president, you come out clear and proud and say it to my people, oh, 25,000 tickets are good. How many US dollars? 100, less than 150 US dollars. These are the things bother me as a young man. I have children, I will have grandchildren in future. What are you going to tell these young people? Because you know what? I find our Guyanese, and I will talk it very plain, I will not call them stupid or illiterate. We're not, but we like to take things for granted in this country. And we're taking it too long. And we need to step up and stand up for it, Mark. And that's why I said to you, I'm fearless. And I will continue to be fearless. Our people deserve better leadership. Our people deserve a better standard of living. Our people deserve a better education, better security, better governance in their region and municipality. We are trying our very best. But with this PPP government, with race card, with discrimination, what we're seeing, it is not heading down a good road. And that's why I'm fearless, Mark. I'm saying this now. Again, I'm fearless. I will represent the Guyanese people, represent the people of the city. I don't care what happens. But I know I have my support from the diaspora and here as well. Let them touch me.
Well said, Mr. Mayor. Well said. Monkey know which limb to jump on. And this time a long time, because the people are not going to sit down and tolerate this sort of nonsense. They could only sit down for so long. But when enough is enough. Anyways, Mr. Crawford, your closing remarks, sir.
Mark, what I would like to see, like I've mentioned before, a much more aggressive coalition group. And, the ones that are holding the key positions, they need to either come forward now and do their part or relinquish that position. Don't wait for Congress. Let other people get there, show more support. Like you're seeing all these problems in the city there. The mayor is asking for help. It's their stronghold. They need to be there. Write to these international bodies. If you can't get them, there is something is wrong. Hence the reason why I asked if the coalition never made friends. You're seeing the blatant disrespect for certain people by the current administration, which is not right. You have the US ambassador who is very, very visible with the organization that is disrespecting the rest of the country. Why can that issue be resolved? You mentioned when the PUP pressured a former ambassador, he had to cut his stay and leave. Why is this one so different? Because of the EHM status? We need to stand up and step it up. If they can't, put somebody else. The way the coalition is acting is like they're waiting for Sunday. And they have already resort to, okay, let's wait the next 5 years. You can't have that. What's going to happen to the resources of this country in 5 years? What about our generations to come? Look at the COVID situation. If people didn't press, they wouldn't have stepped out of fight. And you're seeing the push and pull. They need to keep pushing all the time. We can't afford to have a lackadaisical resistance. If you don't fight, you can't get what you want. They're looking at the Americans. The Americans are not going to come here and do anything. We are a sovereign nation. They can't jump in and dictate. You may have a rogue ambassador, but that doesn't mean that's the policy of the Americans. If Biden administration can't put a stop onto this ambassador's behavior, then we'll have to seek other ways and means to get her off the country. You can't have her run around as if she's the de facto president.
Well, I want to say to you, because this is broadcast via radio, and when you say seek other ways and means to get her off, you're talking
there
about
are other international bodies
legal,
that
right?
can get involved with negotiation
but
for her behavior.
I want to make it.
No, we're not talking violence.
Clear,
right? She needs to leave because she's disrespecting hundreds of thousands of people. Can a Guyanese go into America and run around like an idiot like that? No. So we, as much as we would like the Americans to help us and whatever, you can't come here and infringe on our sovereignty like that. You can make suggestions, and it's up to us if we want, we want. She has been running around with the PP. What benefit has Guyana gotten from her being a de facto president? There's still visa requirements. There's still harassment. There's still no investment done on her part. So this is a personal behavior and not the actual behavior of the current administration. So what Mr. Jeffries have been saying is for the Americans to recall her. Yes, that should have been done. The former president should have been in constant contact daily until this is resolved, because that is the individual that caused us to be out of office for the wrong reasons. We have suddenly slid backwards as a nation. when we were going forward, I'm not saying that we had a perfect government, but we had a government that looked at everybody with the same glass. We didn't say, okay, because somebody's an East Indian, they didn't vote for us, we are not going to help. No. Everybody was looked at the same way. Everybody had a level playing field. You might have a rogue or two issue, but that happens until it's been reported and then you deal with it. But as compared to this organization, it's nowhere close. And it's unfortunate that in this day and age, we will have Guyanese that will be so selfish and so vindictive and so evil-minded that you are prejudiced against one nation, or you just want to look down and see that, you know what, Africans will never have economic security. That in itself tells you that is a violation of human rights. And the Americans are world police, and they're saying that all these things that you must respect human rights, yet they're part and parcel because of this representation they have here, and nothing is being done of it. You can't have that as world police. So it's either that the Americans come clean with what their intention, and that's where the opposition comes in, where you get a meeting done, and you say, tell me where do you stand on with my country and this human rights violation, and you'll know from there if they are a friend or they're an enemy. Because when you look back at the Afghanistan situation after 20 years of investing, Afghanistan major economic strength was opium. 20 years you played around with opium, and then suddenly Afghanistan was a lost cause. Didn't you know it when you was going in there? Right? Now you're coming to a young oil producing nation.
I know you can go on and on and on, but we really have to go. We understand all that you're saying. Guyanese people are still going through what they are going through. We have to hold all of the leaders accountable, including from this installed regime. They're not being held accountable. They're violating people's rights. I agree with you that the leaders of the coalition and the PNC need to come forward a little and do far more than what we're seeing right now. And too many of the press releases wouldn't suffice. But Mr. Crawford, thank you so much for your contributions by appearing on this show, even at the last minute. His Worship the Mayor, thank you so much as well, and I hope your staff gets paid. I wish you both a wonderful weekend. Be safe, continue to wear your mask and practice social distancing and so forth. And again, happy birthday to your daughter, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Appreciate it very much. We've got to go. Thank you. Yeah. All right. All right, quickly before we go, these gentlemen were on point. Mr. Mayor seemed very fired up, and I'm glad that he's here. He's saying to the those folks from the Private Sector Commission, pay your damn taxes. Pay your damn taxes. And what else? I got a note from our executive producer that one of our listeners, he tunes in every single night. Wayne Peters is celebrating his birth anniversary today. Happy birthday to you, Wayne Peters, and to all others who are celebrating their birthdays. Happy birthday to you. And if you have any other anniversary or whatever, a happy anniversary to all of you. I know you guys wanted the topic to continue longer, but we really, really have to go. Yeah, sorry, we really do have to go. But before I go, I just want to point out to you guys about this particular situation. An interesting situation. The PPP, the installed PPP regime is targeting certain radio stations. Oh yeah, I repeat. The PPP, the installed PPP regime, those vagabonds are targeting only certain radio stations. And you know which one is on top of the list, right? That they're targeting to remove from the airwaves. It's Benschop Radio. Every single time they're targeting us. I just want to make that point as clear as possible. And that is all I wish to say tonight on that particular issue. But we're going to have a serious fight about that. Because if they target Benschop Radio, 107.1 FM, they have to target all the others, including those that are very supportive of this installed, corrupt, racist PPP regime. That's all I wish to say now. But I wish you guys, a blessed and happy weekend. Stay safe. God bless all of you, every single one of you. Thanks to our guests. Thanks to you, Mr. Mayor. And thanks to Mr. J.R. Crawford, always comes in and tells us his mind. Thank you all. Until Monday, same place, same time. God bless you.
She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cockacrow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cockacrow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Cockacrow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now a come home. The naga jackass yard for fetchy load. Cockle shy hand, bag over shoulder, running by his side, a Rexy and Rover. From the farm, them a come. Sun a go down but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Lokonani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Banga Mary. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad when the weekend come. Out in the yard, them all gather round. Some a play catcher, some making house from straw. Two who come later, a grandma or grandpa. All a sit down just a wait. Moonlight so bright, it's just the right time to listen story or to say a little nursery rhyme. Grandpa voice a echo in the night as he tell the tale, some picnic a there with fright. Oh, Ligan, Mungeza, Massa Kurma, Bura Nancy, even Watamuma. Oh, Ligan, Mungeza, Massa Kurma, Bura Nancy, even Watamuma. Yeah, man, that's the true story that tell the people about life in the country, life in the country.